everyone, Nicole Cordoves here, and we have just concluded Miss Universe 2019. Congratulations to our new queen, Miss South Africa, Zozibini Tunzi. Congratulations, may your reign be very fruitful and successful, and may you change a lot of lives because you've already inspired us so much just in your answers in the question and answer portion, so we cannot wait to hear more from you. And of course, to our dear Gazini, thank you so much for representing the Philippines so well. You gave us a show, and I was actually very hopeful about Gazini because you can see her huge improvement with her communication skills. Like, her personality really shined through, especially in that casual interview with Steve Harvey. So now we are going to look at the question and answer portion. You know, it's my favorite, guys, because I love this batch of girls from top 5 down to top 3. They're all so well-spoken, very articulate. Kumbaga, walang tapon, diba? And compared to the previous batches of Miss Universe, actually, I think this is the Q&A round I like best because whoever ends up winning Miss Universe, you don't really mind because they have all proven themselves to be eligible and deserving of the crown, especially with their speaking skills. Oh my gosh. So a lot of people also saw that, okay, maybe Miss Universe is really looking for someone who can articulate their thoughts very well. And actually, it's not just articulation of thoughts. Like, you have to be a very good speaker. Yung tipong pagkas may impromptu speech, you have to be able to draft your own speech at the top of your head. It's like that kind of game already. Like, the communication skills of the girls in this batch is on another level, I would tell you that. And we'll get deeper into that later on because now there's this debate on, okay, so is Miss Universe not so much the beauty of face anymore, but they put more weight on the criteria of speaking now, which wasn't necessarily the case in the previous years because, guys, we all know that first runner-up or second runner-up bets that we had during Miss Universe who gave better answers but still ended up as the runner-up instead of the queen herself. So now let's look deeper into that and start with the top 5 question and answer portion.
Please join me, center stage.
First girl who was called was Mexico. In this round, they're given
Here's
different questions per girl.
Recently, many countries have seen protests in their streets. Some have led to violence. Is protest a positive way to create change?
I believe in the cause. I believe in creating change. And I do believe in raising our voices. We need to be heard. And some of these protests are really powerful and they can create a positive impact. But I do not believe in violence because violence is always going to create violence. I really believe that what we should do is come together, raise our voices, and make an impact in the best possible way ever. Through this kind of platforms like Miss Universe, through kind of platforms like TED Talks. That's why I'm here, and I really believe that that's what you should do. Thank you.
All right, Miss Mexico really gave a strong stance with her answer. She sided with, yeah, we have to be heard, like protest. Like, we sometimes the situation actually calls for it. But then she shifts to, but we don't need to resort to violence. So she answered the question quite specifically. It was really comprehensive. She did not leave a stone unturned. I just got a little bit nervous when she was ending her answer. It seemed like she wasn't sure on how to end it. She was still, you could really see her thinking about it. And then that's when she said, like, okay, like using platforms like this, such as Miss Universe or doing TED Talks. So I wish that since she's a novelist, she's a motivational and inspirational speaker as well. So she's had a lot of experience on this. And I know she, if I'm not mistaken, she already did a TED Talk before. So I wish that she gave like a specific project or a specific movement as an example. Although she could have ended this stronger, But it was a flawless answer nonetheless, especially if you're only given 30 seconds and, you're thrown a spontaneous question. She did very, very, very well. Okay, so now we move on to the
Thank you,
next girl.
Mexico. Thailand, you're next. Here's your question. Government surveillance is used to keep many nations and their people safe, but some believe this invades our right to privacy. What is more important to you, privacy or security?
That's a very tough question. I believe
Okay, so I feel like out of all the questions, Thailand was actually given the hardest question because it was so technical, and it's a huge issue now actually, like against Facebook and all these social media platforms that, do not give the right amount of privacy. Like it's all questionable, and also we all know, like in China, like they have they block a lot of sites for their government security as well. So it's an issue that needs to be talked about nowadays because social media is already all encompassing in our lives. So my problem only with this question is, compared to the other questions, this is too technical, especially since the other girls were given questions on climate change and women's health. This is the type of question where even if you answer it correctly, it won't be the most savory question, if you know what I mean. This actually reminds me of that moment last year when Catriona was asked about the question on legalizing marijuana. It's like you need to say, you only need to say enough to get through it because it's too politicized. It's not talked about enough. If ever this issue is discussed, it's only in the high level, like within the government and the concerned private entity, but we don't really talk about it in our everyday lives. It's like, it's ironic because it's the most urgent issue, but at the same time, it's not the most urgent issue with us as well, especially here in the Philippines, so we can't really super relate to that. But in other countries, it's a huge concern, so we can't be too technical about it. But at the end of the day, it won't be the most quotable or most savory answer, even though it's the right answer. So let's see how Thailand actually answered this question. But I love how she reacted to the question first, like, oh, that's a hard question. So it shows that she's confident, she's really comfortable, she's really relaxed, and that she has this presence of mind. Like her mind and her emotions are there in the moment. So I like a girl who reacts to a question.
every country has their own government policy to keep us safe, and I believe that it shouldn't cross the line of going into our privacy because we have a right to privacy. But security is also very important, so I believe that in order to live in a better society, we should also have the government look into a line, a middle ground as to where they can come and live together with society.
She actually gave a really good answer. It was actually the correct answer. Although, like I said, it won't be quotable at all. It's like, it's really hard to make the answer stick to you. And in that moment, 30 seconds, even the audience, you can't absorb it immediately because it's a technical issue. That's my concern. Like, maybe she could have used sound bites like freedom or I don't know. Like, even I would have real difficulty answering this question. But Thailand did really well. You can see her presence of mind was there the whole time. She didn't lose her train of thought. She tried to cover all bases as well. So good job, Thailand. That was a really hard question, especially since Pauline has this history with Miss Earth. And her not being able to answer the question. I think she did really well for Miss Universe. Like, really, really well with a difficult question like that. So, 10 over 10, Pauline.
Thailand. Colombia, come on over. Okay, here's your question. Millions of women worldwide lack access to reproductive health care. What do you believe is the most important issue in women's
Okay, so
health
Colombia
and
is
why?
the only one who
Millones
used
de
a
mujeres no
translator
tienen
for the
acceso por
question
todo
and
el
answer
mundo, no tienen
portion.
acceso a la salud reproductivo. ¿Qué crees es el más importante tema en la salud de las mujeres y por qué?
Yo creo que lo más importante es que las mujeres podamos decidir sobre nuestros propios cuerpos.
I think the most important thing is that women are able to choose about their own body.
Tenemos que tener la posibilidad de acceder a salud de calidad
We have to have the option to have quality care
para que cualquier decisión que tomemos sobre nuestro cuerpo, sobre nuestra salud y sobre nuestra reproducción
so any decision we make about our body, about our health, about our reproduction
jamás ponga en riesgo nuestras vidas.
will ever put us in risk, especially our lives.
Thank you, Colombia.
Colombia, her being a lawyer, you know that everything she will say will be on point. It all sounds so correct. I just don't know why it doesn't sound powerful enough. I think it's with her demeanor, I guess. She doesn't have that persuasion to drag the audience into what she's saying. This is what I always tell the girls who go through my workshops. Like, it's not enough to say the correct answers. You have to engage the audience in a conversation as well. You need to make them feel motivated to be part of the dialogue as well. Although what I do appreciate in the way Colombia answered this question is how she knew when to time, like with her interpreter, where they don't overlap each other. Because I remember this incident during Miss Universe 2015, Ariadna Gutierrez, where she overlapped with her interpreter a bunch of times because I think she really wanted to just keep saying what she wanted to say, and then the interpreter can just translate it after she completed her answer. So she had these unintentional, I'm assuming, side eyes to her interpreter, which a lot of people noticed, even the judges noticed it. So she seemed like she was irked. So I guess their team identified that, learned from that mistake, and then practiced this ball throwing with the interpreter, and they did it right this year. So congrats, Colombia.
Here's your question. Social media has empowered people to express their beliefs, but sometimes those beliefs are intolerant and dangerous. Should social media platforms respect free speech or regulate what people post?
Before we move on to her answer, I would just like to say that I love this question because it explores another dimension on social media. Usually, we always hear social media being raised as an issue in pageantry already, but I love how specific this is because it really questions how much freedom of speech do we really have, or do we not properly utilize our freedom of speech? So let's look at her answer.
I most definitely believe that social media can be a positive aspect in our lives. We can share information, knowledge. However, it can be used in the wrong hands and spew negativity and harm many people. So I believe that social media should identify the people who are spewing such negativity and hurting self-esteem on other people to make sure that they're not abusing the system, such as social media. Thank you.
I love Madison's stance on the question because she actually, it was a very, very strong stance that she took, that, you know what, we actually need to filter out these people. It's like, but not in such a way that it's like a cancel culture or something, but we need to do something about it. Like, it was a strong statement without being too strong in such a way that you will limit other people's freedom as well. But she really made her sentiments clear that, you know what, sometimes it's not healthy anymore with what people are doing on social media or saying over social media. So this is pretty much like illustrating the report abuse button, you know, or reporting hate speech. So I like how she didn't just move on to like saying freedom of speech and all that. I like how she really took a firm stance against it.
Thank you, Puerto Rico. South Africa, this last one is for you. Here's your question. Are leaders of today doing enough to protect future generations from climate change? If not, what more should they be doing?
Actually, this is a very easy question. I mean, climate change, it's a topic that all beauty queens could already prepare for beforehand because you know it's gonna pop out regardless. Unlike the question for Thailand, for example, it's like, okay, I didn't think they would actually ask that on the world stage. So this question, usually if it's such an easy topic, it's more challenging because everyone already had a chance to say their piece about it. Your answer might be alluded to the answer of previous beauty queens who were asked the same question or a question of the same topic. So the challenge is to give more depth to the answer and present a new idea. So you wouldn't want to end up with a runner-up spot because we've all heard it all before, you know. So you would want to give a more thought-challenging, thought-provoking answer for that. So let's see how she fared.
Steve, I think that the future leaders could do a little bit more. But however, I feel like we as individuals ourselves can also play a part in making the climate the way it should be in the future. I mean, we have children protesting for climate, and I feel like as adults we should join as well. We should have corporations join as well, and the government should take it seriously. I mean, from 6th grade, I've been learning that the climate is deteriorating and the planet is dying, and it is up to us to keep our planet safe. Thank you.
Was it the strongest answer during this round? I didn't think so when I was watching it for the first time, actually, especially since the question was about leaders and whether they were doing enough, especially since, you know, there was this movement with Donald Trump not really prioritizing taking care of the environment with his laws, you know, like it was pushed aside and people were freaking out on Twitter. So that was the major issue. And my pet peeve actually when you answer questions like about the environment and climate change is you bringing it down to the individual level. Like, okay, we have a part in it, like teach the kids and then we should too. Like, it's all part of that. But now you are on the Miss Universe stage. You have a big platform. How are you going to utilize this big platform to create a movement? Or how are you gonna use this platform to speak to your leaders? So I wish that she just focused on the leaders, the government. She could have left a message for them, like called them out. I feel like it was a very, very, very simple answer. Although I would say that the way she delivered it, it was, siya yun sinasabi natin guys na kung tinignan mo mukha niya habang nagsasalita siya, lalo siyang gumaganda. Na-appreciate ko yung bone structure niya and everything. But also like with her demeanor in how she answers the question, it wasn't like she was in a pageant. It was like she was talking to the UN or something. Like she just had that aura where you know you could send her to the UN for a speaking engagement or send her to the White House or to different countries to persuade people towards her advocacy and to support certain causes. So the demeanor is like incomparable. It's something that cannot be learned. So even though she gave a simple answer for me, you know, you can't fake that authenticity, the aura, the manner of speaking. It's like you can't teach it to just anyone, you know, and she's the embodiment of that. She's just naturally a good speaker. So that concludes the top 5. So now we are down to the top 3, Puerto Rico, South Africa, and Mexico. All well-spoken, all gave very good answers during the top 5 Q&A portion.
Stronger than your competitors. You will have 45 seconds. If you take too much time, you will hear this.
45
While
seconds.
1 contestant gives their final word, the others will...
So this round, we would really find out who deserves to be Miss Universe because you're only asked one question. All three candidates, so we can really fairly and objectively compare their answers from one another. So let's see who did best.
Be wearing soundproof headphones.
Mexico is the first
Mexico,
one
get
to
ready.
answer
Here
question
is the
again.
question. What is the most important thing we should be teaching young girls today?
Beautiful question, by the way, for the last round. It's not the typical, what would you do as Miss Universe? But this time it's like, what is your message as Miss Universe? So it would really challenge your core and really show where you came from and where you want to lead this reign with.
Steve, it's very important to teach young girls today the importance of their true value. We see so many perfection in social media, perfect lives, perfect bodies, perfect faces, perfect relationships. Nothing is that real.
I love how Mexico really goes into the issue that young girls really are facing today. Like, it's at the top of your head. I think that's one major issue that could lead to a lot of issues like mental health issues, insecurities, self-esteem issues. So it's good that she's very, very aware of this.
We have to teach them that who they are is already amazing. Who they are is already worth it. Because what they really are is not what it looks like. It's what they feel, what they act, and the way they react to the world. I believe a girl is worth.
I love the three things that she said. Like, it was like three prongs: what they feel and how they act and how they react to the world. It may sound so simple when she delivered it, but this is actually all encompassing, meaning she covered all bases. Like, this is holistic in itself. You know that she really put a lot of thought into this, and not only thoughts, actually she lived by these values as well. And this message, if she was given like 5 more minutes, it would have been a very good epic TED Talk already.
I believe a girl is worth for what she has to offer to the world way more than the way she looks. Thank you.
It's really, I'm so in love with her answer, but it's the type of answer that you wouldn't super fall in love with at the first time, but the more you listen to it, the more it, convinces you. Every word is on point, every statement. Like, I wouldn't take away a single word. It's perfect. If you put it in a quote box, it could be viral, it's quotable. And I love how at the end, it was very strong. She was like, find your value in what you can offer to the world. It's really encouraging you to internalize within yourself. And what I love about that final statement, the last sentence, is that it's a call to action. It wasn't just her quoting all these nice sayings. It was her challenging you to think about how you could make yourself competent, confident, and contribute to the world. And that's the most beautiful thing. And hearing her speech, actually, it's just, I'm gonna call it a speech now because I love it that much. Hearing her speech, I want to know more about her. I want to know more about what she went through. And that's the thing I miss most, actually, in this edition of Miss Universe, because they didn't have that interview, like a roundtable discussion where the girls are casually drinking coffee or something, and then they throw each other questions, and then they show these VTRs in bits and pieces throughout the competition so that you can get to know more about the personal lives of the girls. So iniisip ko na lang din, like, what if the girls didn't actually put in effort in their social media prior to Miss Universe to like release these interviews and these called profile videos about them where they introduce themselves and talk about themselves? Then we wouldn't have the chance anymore to get to know them. So I wish Miss Universe would actually bring it back in the next editions, because I look forward to that part the most, like hearing their stories. And you can't help but fall in love with the girl actually if you hear bits and pieces of stories of her life. So Mexico, I want to get to know you more. Like, I would search for your TED Talk on YouTube. Like, this is hands down perfect. And now let's move on to
Mexico.
I think it's South Africa who came next. South Africa.
All right, here we go, South Africa. Here is your question. What is the most important thing we should be teaching young girls today?
I think the most important thing we should be teaching young girls today is leadership. It's something that has been lacking in young girls.
Super strong answer from Miss South Africa. Leadership. Because, you know, with all this women empowerment movement, nobody spoke about it this way yet on the Miss Universe stage. Like, the central message of her answer is that, you know what, we already fought for our place through women empowerment. Like, we're already here. This time, we're in. It's time to level up. It's time to lead. So, before, girls weren't even given an education, like the most basic things. So now, for her to say that we need to teach young girls how to lead, you know, leadership, that's like so big. It's such a big message. Can't help but crown her, period. Period with a T.
Women for a very long time, not because we don't want to, but because of what society has labeled women to be. I think we are the most powerful beings on the world.
I was just a little bit nervous when she said, I think we are the most powerful beings in the world. When it comes to equality, here's the thing. You don't have to step on another group, another gender just to, you know, feel superior. Like, equality is about equality, like having equal treatment, equal benefits, equal everything. Nobody has to be superior over the other. So at first I was like, oh yeah, wow, leadership. But then when she said that, I was like, oh no, might this be too strong for a Miss Universe candidate to say on the world stage? So let's see how she did after saying that.
And that we should be given every opportunity, and that is what we should be teaching these young girls, to take up space. Nothing as important as taking up space in society and cementing yourself. Thank you.
This is the magic, her magic in being a good communicator. She's really illustrative. It's not just going for that position or going after your dream. It really shows you a specific illustration that you can walk into. Like, you physically should take up space. And that imagery, like, it can't help but be burned through your mind for years to come. Like, it's something that you would really quote to your little girl one day. Like, you have to take up space, find your space in this world and fill it as much as you can, and you can go as big as you can, you know. So that's the most beautiful part of this speech as well. Beautiful ending. Even though she ended strong with her speech, I was still a bit nervous afterwards because of what she said about us being more superior. It's lukewarm. Like, you don't know if it's gonna fly or not. So at this point, it really depends on the set of judges.
Thank you, South Africa. Very
And
good.
finally, with Puerto Rico.
All right, Puerto Rico, Miss Puerto Rico, here is your question. What is the most important thing we should be teaching young girls today?
There's so many things that I would love to teach young girls if I have the opportunity to be your next Miss Universe.
I love how she cemented herself as like, you know what, this will be my mission and vision if I become Miss Universe. So that's a different twist to a more straightforward answer.
As in a world where so many people wear masks, it's such a beautiful thing to see an authentic soul. So to embrace your uniqueness, to embrace who you are, because you just don't know who you can inspire just by being you. To celebrate that. Thank you.
Okay, so she goes on to saying, finding your authenticity, your own uniqueness. She has been very consistent with her messaging all throughout her pageant journey, and it's just her answer itself is so authentic. Like, she really embodies what she answers, and I have no problem with this kind of answer actually. Like, it's really light, and sometimes you just really miss a girl who has all these uncomplicated issues. Like, she just says it as it is. It's like she goes back to the basics, of going back to yourself and finding yourself. And why does this answer fly with Puerto Rico? Like, why does it work for her? Because you really can feel that it's her overall aura. It's who she is. Like, she's not faking it. I also appreciate it because her answer is her. She's authentic, and you can always inspire a lot of people with authenticity. Although I do feel that at the end of her speech, people wanted to hear more. I wanted to hear more. Like, it could have ended on a stronger note. So that's still what I'm looking for. So at that point, I was like, I hope that was enough for the judges. That's what was running through my mind that time. That wraps up our review for the question and answer portion of Miss Universe 2019. And South Africa won. And honestly, I was surprised, but it was a very, very wonderful surprise, because back then, especially with a strong answer like that, it wouldn't really work out for the girl. And I remember in previous batches of Miss Universe, like, we all had our bets when it came to Q&A. Now, I hope they crown her because she gave the best answer, but then someone else will be crowned. And I know a lot of fans will really comment, because at the end of the day, it's still the Miss Universe face, it's still the Miss Universe brand. You still have to have the beauty of face criteria of Miss Universe, and you don't just need to be beautiful, you need to look Miss Universe beautiful. And that is why South Africa's win is really historic, because a lot of people would have assumed, including me, that they might still probably go for Puerto Rico, because, at the end of the day, Miss Universe is a business. They want the commercial beauty who can also do high fashion, and, that's already a mold that we're all very aware with. So when they actually announced South Africa, it was a win for even more girls throughout the world. Overall, amazing win for all the girls. I think even though this was the shortest Miss Universe competition, I enjoyed it a lot, because you really didn't know who was gonna win. There was no super strong front runner who was super obvious that she was gonna win, so you can't help but root for a lot of girls. And in that way, you're so unbiased. Like, you get to see the specific skill set of the girls and what they can contribute to Miss Universe, so you see everything more clearly and you learn to appreciate them more. And that is what a pageant is about, really. Like, appreciating girls from different parts of the country and their diversity, and them telling their story through their experiences. So it's really about that. So congratulations to all our queens. This has been Nicole Cordoves, and thank you so much for watching my Miss Universe videos. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and push the notification bell so that you won't have to miss an episode.